Hello and welcome to the Redflex, everyone. The only channel in the world hosted by four brothers who all support Manchester United, all from Manchester. It was Derby Day today. It was a chance for redemption. It was a chance to quieten the critics, the vultures that seem to circle around Old Trafford every week. It's not happened. It was a bit of a damp squid. Gassim, why?
I think it was a game that we couldn't afford to lose, especially after being knocked out of the Champions League. I think we'll go into obviously individual performances and how I thought we did, but it's a game that obviously comes with a hype, comes with a pomper, Manchester derby, red versus blue, bragging rights on the line. But at the end of the day, we've got through it. Didn't win at home again, but it's something that you kind of have to settle with, I think.
Agreed. Abdul, none of us predicted Paul Pogba in the starting lineup. What were your thoughts on that selection from Ollie?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a surprise to be fair, but I think out of everyone, I think I'm still his biggest fan of the four of us anyway. I still think we need to somehow get him in the team, but obviously he needs to fully commit to Man United before we can start talking about trying to get him and integrate him into the first team. And to be fair, I think he did well. You could clearly see he's probably on the ball. He's probably one of our most talented players. And he did all right. He did all right. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who are going to be looking for things he didn't do well. Maybe one or two things, but I think that would go to everyone who was playing. Not everyone played at 100%. That goes for both teams. So I don't think anyone can say anything particularly negative about Paul Pogba today in regards to his performance on the pitch. So off the
I've got a
field
scenario for
is
you,
maybe a
Joe.
slightly different issue.
I've got a scenario for you.
Okay, go on.
So, if you were the manager of Man United and Paul Pogba and all the stuff that's been going on, would you pick him?
I think it purely depends on the conversation that they had. Reportedly, they had a heart-to-heart conversation at some point late last week. It depends on what was said. I don't know. I mean, if I was satisfied with the outcome of that conversation, then yeah, why not? If whilst he's still being paid by Man United, while he's still an employee of Man United, yeah, if he's able to contribute whilst he's here, yeah, yeah, I would have him in the team for sure.
I thought he played all right. I think he did a lot of good things. I think he only gave the ball away once, from what I can remember, which is a rarity in itself. From normally gives it away quite a few times. So for me, no issues. Probably in the team, I thought he did well. You're right. It was a bit of a 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10 from everyone, wasn't it? So nothing new there. Gassim, let's talk about the first half. What stood out
First
for
half,
you? Yeah, what stood out for you tactically?
I found it really interesting. I think when we didn't have the ball, we were lined up in a 4-4-2. So Bruno Fernandes was just off the striker. Usually Greenwood would cover, I think it was the right wing, and Paul Pogba on the left wing. I think that's probably the best way if you do want to play Paul Pogba. Keep him out of the central areas. To be fair to Paul Pogba, though, I thought he played well. He didn't dawdle on the ball or take as much time as he normally does, so that was good. And I thought we played well. I thought we were zipping it around. We had purpose. We were playing well, and could have. I won't say we deserved to be 1-0 ahead, but we limited City. They didn't have many chances. Overall, I was very happy with what I saw in the first 45 minutes.
Agreed. Abdul, Pogba was there. Obviously, Sterling was kind of like negated. Pogba had quite a few touches. We didn't see much of Fernandes in the first half. Why do you think that was?
I think most teams do realise that if you can stop Fernandes, then that kind of stops most of our attacks because the ball goes through him a lot. Most of our midfielders and defenders are actually trying to look for him. And I think they actually did, as most teams do, they just did a number on him. They actually took away space that he would get in some games where he tends to dominate. And that's pretty much what I think most teams are going to start to do because they know he's probably the most influential player at the club. If you can stop him, then obviously other players will have to step up. But I don't think many other players are actually in form at the moment. So if you can stop him, you pretty much stopped Man United, I think.
For me personally, I don't think it was City stopping Fernandes. I think it was the way we set up, which kind of like negated his strengths. We didn't, the way we just played, sat back. We didn't really press. There wasn't really much going on the counter attack. Obviously, City dropping deep. They weren't committing a lot of men. So for me, yeah, I don't think that this type of setup, this type of performance actually suits us. Gassim, what do you think?
I think personally, I think in the bigger games, what Fernandes tends to do, he tends to come in from the right to kind of get that initial space, because City lined up with two defensive midfielders purely for the reason, I'm assuming, to keep Bruno Fernandes in check. And I thought Man City gave us a lot of respect in the first half. Usually you would associate City with the high pressure, and we were quite easily, I've got a problem with what we were doing, but I'll get on with that later, but we were very easily coming out in the first half anyway with the ball. They were kind of set back, and if you think about it, this is probably the worst Man City side over the last few years. Not as good as the Man Cities that we've had over the few years. So I think potentially a missed opportunity, but Man City definitely didn't want to get countered, and you could tell that United didn't want to get countered either. So that kind of factored into the cagey affair.
Totally agree. I think that's what I was going to say. My next point, I think City were absolutely petrified of the counter attack. You could tell they weren't committing men at all. They weren't pressing like they normally do, because they knew if we beat the press, then that we'd be in 2v2, 3v2, and I think they would have got exposed. But yeah, I think that sums up the first half. So let's go into the second half, Abdul. I mean, I think we spoke, didn't we, towards the end of the at halftime, didn't we? We spoke and we were like, what's going on here? It's like the players weren't running around. Both players were just like, both teams were jogging around. And even when people had the ball, there wasn't an urgency there from either team. I didn't get it. Abdul, can you explain?
Yeah, I think I was probably as baffled as you. I think the Sky Sport commentators were also baffled by what was going on. They didn't, and also I think Roy Keane at halftime wasn't pleased with either team, to be honest. And it just felt like it was like a friendly game for some reason. I didn't feel like it meant anything. As we've mentioned earlier, both teams didn't want to lose the game for various reasons. I think both teams are under extreme pressure. Man City, because they've been off to a poor start as well. We are starting to pick things up, but after our poor performance against Leipzig, I think it was important that we didn't get off to a poor start. And that's probably the reason why the first 20 minutes, we didn't even look like we actually wanted to fully commit to any attacks. Slowly, we did get through the press a few times in the second half as well, but there was no energy. It was literally half the time, it was at walking pace. The ball hardly went out of play. Nothing was really happening. I think both teams, once it got to 60, 75 minutes, you knew both teams were very happy with the draw, which is a shame in this kind of high-profile game. I would have liked to have seen a bit more energy, a bit more fight, and a kind of bit more passion, because it means a lot to the fans, and we didn't really see that kind of replicated on the pitch, I think.
Agree with that. Totally agree with that. As I said at the start, damp squid. Gassim, was it an opportunity lost to beat City 4 times in the space of 5 games? Or
yeah, I think,
or like, do we move on?
I think it was a game that we could have easily won, but I think the Champions League exit played a factor in this. Solskjaer could not afford to lose this game. I think in the first half we worked very hard. I thought we did work as a team. I thought we did, apply pressure. In the second half, you could tell the players looked tired, and we kind of sat back. We didn't have many chances throughout the game, not from what I can think of. Obviously, we had the penalty thing, which we probably discussed, which got overturned correctly, probably. City had most of the possession. So potentially missed opportunity, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a decent point. 4 points off first place. So going into a very busy Christmas schedule, I think we can kind of move on, dust ourselves off from the kind of Champions League exit. We've got Sheffield United, I believe, a game that is very winnable, and we're in a decent position.
Yeah, the winless, aren't they, Sheffield United? So yeah, maybe it's not too bad. But Abdul, are we still in the title race? Should we have put a marker down?
I think what we did today, in fact, was a marker, because Man City didn't want to play their normal game, as Gassim said as well. I mean, I think it's the ultimate respect from Pep, to be honest. He didn't want to play his normal game. You very, very rarely see that from any of the teams he's ever managed. It's usually he plays his game, other teams need to try to adapt to what he's doing. But this time he fully adapted to the way he knew Man United were going to play. I think that kind of caught United cold as well. They weren't expecting that, I think, because they've not seen that before from Pep. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those games. I think it might prove to be a good point. If we did open up, potentially we could have lost this game as well. So I think both teams were going to not take risks, and I think a draw was a fair result based on what I saw anyway. So let's move on to the next game. If we can get 6 points from the next 2 games, then this draw might be a good point.
Agreed. Qasim, let's move on to your man of the match and your worst player of the match.
Worst player, probably difficult in a 0-0 cagey affair, because there's not much difference between the best player and the worst player. I'd probably say, I think Mason Greenwood's performance, I'm not going to say he was the worst player on the pitch, but I think Mason Greenwood could have been a little bit more influential. He had a few little half chances where he could have passed it, but he decided not to. So I'll probably, unfortunately, have to give that one to him. Best player, in my opinion, on the pitch was, I thought Harry Maguire was excellent today. He made quite a few crucial interceptions. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I know me and Abdul have had quite a few inputs on that. I think he was great at what he does defensively, not so great going forward.
Yeah,
but overall,
this was a perfect game for him, as we mentioned. Yeah.
Perfect game. But I think Harry Maguire, he's had a bit of stick, so I'll praise him when he deserves it. I thought he was really good. So Harry Maguire, for me, the best player.
Abdul?
I'm going to have to kind of disagree with you, Casimir. I think Harry Maguire defensively was fine. On the ball, he had a few times where he was taking huge risks, and I think he once or twice he lost the ball, and kind of other players kind of got him out of it, or the way the ball deflected off the other player didn't fall to City players. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, he was fine. He looked quite, when he had to do his job, which is to defend, he did well. On the ball, yeah, I think he took a few too many risks for my liking. But yeah, he had a decent game. The best player on the pitch for me, I think Paul Pogba played well. He's under a lot of pressure. Anything he did would have been magnified massively. He would have been criticised massively. I thought he put in a good shift. He showed that he's a very talented player. I think there's no doubt about that anyway. But he showed a bit of commitment. I mean, we all know he doesn't like to track back. On a few occasions, he didn't do that. But most of the time, he was doing that. And he was winning the ball. And he was trying to make something happen. I think the worst player, it's quite difficult, as you said, Gas, as well. It wasn't that much difference between the best and the worst player. I think Fred wasn't great, to be honest, in my opinion. Yeah, he wasn't really doing much for me. For someone to play in that role, because we know Scott McTominay's not a great passer, but he was having an impact elsewhere. Fred wasn't really doing anything for me. So I'd say Fred.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Fred, or maybe even Rashford, I'm a bit of surprise with Rashford, but not that he played badly. It's just that he had opportunities to do better, much better. He can do, remember that shot he had with his left foot?
Left foot shot, no way. And he's never scored in his left foot.
Yeah. There was another one where, he should have probably taken the ball in his stride, and he probably would have been clean on goal. So I don't know. I mean, personally, I'm happy with the draw. We can just move on, can't we? Gassim, finally, just going to get your thoughts on this. What shall we expect from the British press tomorrow?
I think the British press are going to be disappointed. They probably wanted either City to take a beating or they wanted United to take a beating. Yeah. They wanted to discuss Solskjaer's future. They wanted to discuss how Guardiola's finished. They didn't get any of it. So even Paul Pogba played well, so they're not going to get that. So I think they're going to be very disappointed. But I'm sure they will find something.
I'm sure they'll find something, yeah.
To get their teeth stuck in. The one thing that
Go on, Gassim, yeah.
I want to bring to your guys' attention is what I didn't understand was so many times in the second half, we just kept rolling it out from the back, passing it in our own box, giving it away. What are they doing, man?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Why are they doing it, man? Every time they're doing it, I was like, oh, like what are they, like literally nervous wreck. and they just kept giving it away, and it led to so many City attacks. I just don't get it.
Abdul, can you explain?
I can do in a minute. There's something I want to say, Harris. Harris, I think you've set a new record today.
What's that?
A new record.
A new record from Harris, I think. This is what I make it the 6th occasion in a row for the black top.
Oh my God.
I've been looking through the shows. I'm sure you're on some sort of streak here. I'm sure the white top's gone. This is a new streak.
Some are t-shirts, some are tops. This is the top. This is the full sleeve.
You lied to all your fans. You lied to all your fans out there, man. You promised them.
From now on, Abdul, I'm gonna make a fashion conscious decision. I'll be wearing multicolored tops just to satisfy you and the fans. Well, Abdul,
I'm sure. Back to the Bob's question again.
The question was
at some point, I thought I need to mention this. Right?
Why were Man United not kicking it up from the goal kicks?
That must have been the instructions from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He must have said, "I actually want you to try to play out for the back, be brave on the ball, and play out for the back." It was very, very, very risky play.
It's never worked. When has it ever worked? That one isn't led to anything.
That's not we don't have those players. We've never done that before in our history. And the main thing is forget the history of how we normally play. We don't have those type of players who can keep the ball in kind of tight. At times in the first half, we were doing all right with that.
There's no one available for the pass. Those Fred's there, covered by two. I don't know where Shaw and Wan-Bissaka are. Well, they're on the touchline, but they get it, pass it back, and then that's it. Either De Gea just kicks it forward anyway. It's just kick it forward straight away.
Yeah, I think that was the instructions they were given, so that's what they're doing. Because if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said to you, "I'll wait to kick out," that's what they would have done. So they would have been instructed to play like that. I think to keep the ball as much as possible. Otherwise, if it goes in the air, you've no idea if they're going to get the ball back or not.
Still, I mean, I found it odd. I mean, you can win the second ball. I know they've got Greenwood and Rashford, who are probably obviously not great. Obviously, if we had Cavani, If you had Cavani, I think they definitely would have been doing that. End of the day, it's all ifs, buts, and maybes, isn't it? Whether it would have made a difference or not, would we have got a goal out of it? Who knows? It ended as it is, and as I think we all agree, it's a good point. We move on. Sheffield United, hopefully, let's get the win, and we can move up the table. So I think that's probably enough for today in terms of all the elements that we wanted to talk about. It's a shame it's not the all singing, all dancing kind of show where we're all buzzing and talking about goals and incidents. But you do get these games from time to time, and we'll take it, and we just can move on to the next one. So thank you everyone for watching. We are also on Twitch now, so if you do have that on your social channels as well, it's twitch.tv/the-Redflex. And again, we will be back for the preview show against Sheffield United, hopefully on Wednesday. So hopefully tune in, and we will see you then. And hopefully we will have the full quartet with the chief in charge live from Dubai as well. So stay tuned, guys, and we'll see you then.